Hello, everyone. I am so extremely excited to welcome you all to the very first World Start Summit here in Stuttgart. Welcome to all of our jury members, welcome to our startup representatives, and of course, welcome to the audience at home. Jonas and I will guide you through the evening today, and before we start, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Marco, I'm 22 years old, and I'm president from Start Stuttgart, and I'm studying business psychology here in Stuttgart. Besides from all this, I'm just really interested in founding startups in general and the whole entrepreneurship, and that's also the reason why I'm part from Start Stuttgart.
All right, I'm Jonas, I'm head of people here at Start Stuttgart, and currently I'm doing my bachelor's degree in computer science. I'm also working on my own startup, but you will see that later on. So at first, we would like to give you a quick overview over what Start actually does. So to begin with, we have a small picture. You can imagine the road to the startup as a very hard and long way. So as you see, we all want to climb the top of the mountain, but we all start down there. The way is very cloudy. It's sometimes super hard to get to the top, and you often fall down and you still have to get back up. And that's also what we found out when we talked to different students, startups, and other people in the startup scene. So there's basically no overview over existing workshops, over existing offers in the industry. And there's also mostly no exchange between different universities. You mostly know the people from your own city, but not from other cities. So let's get to our last point, the team. We all know how important teams are to build very successful and interesting products. And teams mostly need to be diverse. So we need people with diverse backgrounds. So we have to exchange our ideas with others. So our vision is to foster collaboration between different universities, startups, and also investors. And therefore, we create a community to get this exchange going. So our vision is actually to provide a transparency over all the offers here and to get all the people together. So as you might know, Start Stuttgart is not the only one in this business. We are also part of the huge network Start. And Start is actually a very, very huge community of students. We have locations in Barcelona, in Germany, in various cities, and we have also chapters in Helsinki. So it's very amazing to be in touch with all those people. We host various events like the Start Summit, you will hear about that later. And we also have huge hackathons where people get their minds together to develop astounding products. We also have a fellowship program, which is incentivizing people to cultivate impactful ideas. And of course, this would not be possible without great partners, which we listed a little bit here. All right, so enough of that. Now let's get to the topic.
So guys, what is this all about today? Today, we want to crown the best startup in Stuttgart, and we want to give them the opportunity to travel to St. Gallen to the big Start Summit. At the Start Summit, the winner from today will have the chance to pitch in front of over 5,000 participants from over 90 countries. They will also get the chance to compete with 10 international startups and to fight for 10,000 Swiss franc and a chance for a top consultancy from an industry expert from St. Gallen. So let's have a look on the agenda. First of all, we want to introduce our 4 jury members to you. Then we will start our pitching session. Our pitching session has 2 rules. The first rule is that our startups will have 3 minutes to pitch. And the second rule is that our jury members will have 5 minutes to ask questions. So guys, we have a really tight time schedule. Please make sure to not overrun the time. Our pitching session is divided in 2 sections. In the first section, the first 3 startups will pitch. Then we will have a speech from Adrian Thoma, who will tell us something about founding and his little baby, the Gründermotor. And then we will have the second section with the other 3 startups. After the whole pitching section is over, we will have a little break from about 10 minutes. And in that time, our jury members will have time to discuss the winners. As I said before, the first place will win, of course, the ticket for the big Start Summit in St. Gallen, but also the second and the third place can win something today. The second place can choose between a 2-hour business coaching from one of our business angels or the chance to pitch at the tower pitch. The third place will win 2 online tickets. Also, you guys at home can win something today, or at least one person. One person will also win an online ticket to the Start Summit. After the award ceremony, we will talk about some future projects from us. And for the last point, we just want a little bit to network, and you will be able to ask questions to the jury members and the startup representatives. So guys, let's start to introduce our jury members to you. Our first jury member has seen quite a bit in 17 years of business experience. He was product manager at an automotive company. He led an innovation hub in New York City. He was CEO of an agile coaching startup. And his focus through all of the years was how to combine technology, people, and business models. Please welcome with me, Marco Kehm.
All right. So as our second jury member, we had originally planned Adrian Thoma. He can't make it today, unfortunately, but we have an amazing representative of Gründermotor as well that will join us here. So he's worked with over 4 years with Tesla in the DACH region, and now he's a partner at the Gründermotor program, where he's a moderator and partner in success management. And for all of you guys who like to drink beer, a very interesting point, he's also shareholder of Kraft Paule, the craft beer brewery here. Check them out.
Okay, our third jury member is a tech and innovation enthusiast. Her heart beats for diversity and gender equality, not only in personal life, but also in the tech area especially. She has an extensive knowledge about the startup ecosystem in the US and in Europe. And currently she's leading an initiative to form a fintech accelerator for Stuttgart Financial, which is organized by Börse Stuttgart. Let's all welcome together Kati Nayeri.
All right, and I'm honored to introduce our last jury member of this evening. He is Professor of Finance and Entrepreneurship at Esslingen University and is also head of Gründers, the Center of Entrepreneurship. So there's hardly anyone in this region who has so much experience in coaching startups. So very welcome here in our jury. Thank you. All right, now that our jury is complete, we don't want to waste more time, and we would really like to go straight into the pitch session. So we would like to welcome our first startup here on stage today, which is Gauss ML, and I would like to invite Jonathan live here on stage. So please give him some applause. All right, so here's your presenter. And simply use it. Then we have a microphone for you. All right, so you then have 3 minutes, and the time starts now.
All right, great. So good evening. Good evening. My name is Jonathan Spitz, and I'm the CEO of Gauss Machine Learning. My background is in mechanical engineering and robotics, and for the past 5 years, I've been working in the field of artificial intelligence. I spent 2 years as a research scientist at Bosch, where I realized the huge potential that AI has for optimizing manufacturing processes. Good. Machines on a production line have hundreds of thousands of setting combinations that directly affect the quality, quantity, and efficiency of the production. To find the right settings, a machine operator or process engineer has to run experiments on the machine, which requires shutting down production for hours each month. Without the right settings, resources are needlessly wasted. Companies like Factory Pal and Metis Labs offer to optimize production lines with data-hungry and expensive AI solutions. Gauss ML has developed an AI that is easier to integrate, and requires far fewer data points to find better settings for the machine. We offer an AI. We offer an AI assistant that can very quickly understand the influence that each parameter has on the machine, on the behavior of the machine. And our customers get setting suggestions to try on the machine, and they report back the results to our assistant, which very quickly becomes a better expert for every machine as more results are reported back. Our goal is to be able to provide the best settings for each machine on the fly under any environmental conditions. We already proved our solution with laser cutting machines, where we find up to 20% better settings, about 4 times faster than traditional methods. With those results, it's no surprise that the largest machine manufacturers want to work with us. Unfortunately, I cannot disclose any names yet. We're working to establish strategic partnerships with such machine manufacturers. And our business model involves delivering and licensing our solution as part of their software. We expect this integration to take some time and proceed in phases, including development, beta testing, and rollouts to their customer base. Sorry, the laser cutting segment alone represents a market opportunity of $1 billion. And since our AI can potentially optimize any kind of machines, we can actually then expand to about 10 million manufacturing companies worldwide, which represent a market opportunity of 50 billion. So before founding GaussML, I worked at the Bosch Center for Artificial Intelligence. Okay, thanks.
But of course, we have 5 minutes of questions from the jury. Yeah. So things that are open can be asked there.
I would like to ask a question.
Wait a second. Would you like to click on that button? Then we have a timer.
Which button?
Just next slide.
Next slide. Yeah.
Right. Sorry, your slide's through.
No
so.
So somebody's typing. Well, I have a question. It's not supposed to be funny or anything. So, what would you say made you able to use that product at its best and to develop that thing? And why didn't anybody else have the idea to do that the way you do it?
Yeah, good question. So like I said, I spent 2 years at the Bosch Center for Artificial Intelligence. I was working there developing similar kind of algorithms to optimize a large variety of industrial machines. And actually, I started using a similar kind of approach already in robotics, because the whole point is that you want to optimize these processes, these machines, as quickly as possible. Each experiment takes time and it's costly. The same thing happens with robots. So you don't want to take 10,000 experiments to get the robot to work properly, because if it falls down, it breaks and it's very expensive.
You also mentioned some competitors. Did you benchmark your solution against the solution of the others in terms of effectiveness?
Not directly. So we have, we did some experiments with one of these laser cutting machines manufacturers already, and they actually had one solution that they got not from one of the competitors, but from university. They already confirmed that the kind of transfer learning that we can provide, it's still unavailable to them with the previous solution. And even without transfer learning, we are able to find solutions, find better settings even faster than what they currently have.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your customer acquisition strategy and the costs?
Yeah, so that's a little bit the strategy that we're following right now is to go directly to the laser, to a specific machine manufacturer. In this case, it's laser cutting machines. The goal there is that we don't really need to go to each particular client that is using the machine, but we can get access to all of the clients that they have that are already using the machine. So that way we can generate more revenue without requiring so much money for sales.
Using the machine producers and mechanics as a distribution.
Yes, exactly. And one of the reasons why this makes particularly good sense is because it takes some time to find also optimize our own algorithm so it works nicely for the machine. And if we have done it for one, then we can do it for 10,000, and then we can move to the next technology.
Yeah. But your software is then, let's say, machine specific, right? So now it's the laser cutting industry. But when you move, for example, to other fields, that we have to adopt your software. You know, always predictive maintenance, always the same. And the second question into that, how do you actually then, based on what you asked, how do you actually approach those different industries? Now you're just, I guess, trucks would be one major, right? Client, but there are many different ones, right?
Yeah,
How do you
exactly.
do that? And why should they give you access to their machines?
Yeah.
And not do that on their own?
Exactly. So with the laser cutting machines, we had a little bit of luck that we went to a Black Expo and we spoke to different machine manufacturers, and pretty much everyone in the laser cutting industry, they said, yeah, this is a huge issue for all of our customers, and they have trouble finding the right settings for the machine. So we validated the problem and then we started working more towards that. But this is a process that we can repeat with other industries as well. And to your question about the kind of how can we repeat this for other machines or other technologies, it's similar with the laser cutting machine. So once you have done it for cutting 15 millimeters, then you can do it easily for 25 millimeters and 30 millimeters. So it's kind of it's a small step, but it's still a step that needs to be done.
What's your biggest challenge at the moment?
Well, so we skipped the slide, but we're basically we're basically starting our fundraising process next month. We're already in touch with a few VCs, and we're planning to raise money as efficiently and effectively as possible. We're an optimization company after all, and yeah, since it's the first time that we're raising a round, we have a lot of questions about how to do it right and how to do it effectively, etc.
On one of your slides, you showed 2 people. So
yes.
you're starting some 2 people?
Yeah, right now we're 2. So myself and Timur, he's my partner on the business side. He has been a business developer and entrepreneur in various industries for about 20 years. So he takes care of the sales and pushing people.
Sorry, did you?
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you. We are really strict.
Thanks for the questions.
I'm sorry. Good. We don't want to lose any time. And to go further, the next startup is Hydro, and please, Ilya, come to the stage. It's really important that you.
Hi, my name is Ilya, and before we start, I'd like you to imagine this. It's a hot summer day in Stuttgart, and you just came home. Desperate for an ice-cold glass of water, you take a glass, open the tap, and nothing comes out? Pure fiction, right? Well, in the USA it isn't. And even here in Stuttgart, we were frightfully close last year. But how can we prevent this? Well, it starts with the consumer. Question, do you know how much water you use daily? Answer, it's actually 129 liters. It's 129 big water bottles, and only 2 of those you drink. But one can't really blame you when the only thing you can see on your water meter at home is a long, confusing number. At the same time, studies have shown that just knowing how much you use can reduce your consumption by over 20%. Hydrop Smart Water Metering aims to help. In our app, you'll not only see how much you use in total, but what you use it for, whether it be showering, cleaning the dishes, and so on. But that's not all. You'll also receive personalized tips on how to reduce your water consumption and find a community of like-minded people. How do we do this? By using our smart adapter, which turns your analog meter into a smart metering device. The data is then transferred to our servers where an artificial intelligence analyzes it, and the information is then sent to the app on your phone so you can finally know what your kid has been up to during those suspiciously long showers. Oh, come on. But that's not the best part, because except of saving the environment, you'll also save money. According to a study by the ETH Zurich, you can save 80 euros on water and energy costs in the shower alone. At the same time, our predicted price for the product will be 80 euros per unit and only 99-cent subscription for the app. For early adopters, we plan to target the intersection of environmentally focused young people and smart home aficionados. Both of those markets are growing rapidly. With quite conservative estimations, we should be profitable in the 3rd year of being on the market. So far, we have competed in numerous startup events. We have developed a working hardware prototype. We have founded a company through the TTI GmbH, and we have built an online and social media presence. Right now, we are in the KI Garage Accelerator. We are developing a working software demonstrator, and also we are working with a big client to see how we can apply our technology in an industrial field. Hydrop, that's us. Big team, very interdisciplinary, and we all want to proactively save water. Want to save water with us? Then don't hesitate to contact us. So that tab won't give up on you. Thank you very much.
So now the jury has 5 minutes to ask questions.
I actually have a question. Well-run presentation, something that I'm really interested in as well. This is specifically the sensor, though, is specifically for the German market. How?
Right now, we're thinking about the German market, but if you look at the device, it actually, you can disassemble it. So you can put it on basically any.
Oh, shoot. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I don't want to break it.
It's like,
You already did so.
Yeah.
So we are targeting, I mean, even in Germany, we have loads of different meters, and also we have setups where you not only have 1 meter, but multiple meters. So it has to be some kind of modular. So we're right now targeting the German market because that's where we come from. But in the future, we would love to expand, especially to those regions where they have those kind of problems already, where you open the tap and water doesn't come out. Like there's Australia, the United States, especially in the hotter regions. I mean, South Africa is also an example. Quite many of those. I can assemble it later.
No, it's already fixed. You know, I have an engineer, so okay. Just coming back to your pitch, nice pitch. But you haven't talked about any competitors. I guess there are plenty out there.
Yeah, that is actually a great question, and we have a beautiful, humongous people diagram with many competitors. Normally on our background slides. The thing is, the competitors right now, they use, or it might be, very stupid technology. They don't use an AI-based approach. The best next thing that we have to us is Amphiro in Switzerland, and the only thing they can do is track your consumption in your shower. I mean, according to the studies, this also already makes quite a big impact, but it almost doesn't do anything when you consider washing your hands, going to the toilet, stuff like that.
But what is then special about you? Yeah. Why AI? What is it? What is the profit to me as a consumer?
The profit to you as a consumer is first that you save more money than with our competitors.
But what do you suggest to me? Don't wash your hands every day, shower?
No, that's not what I'm suggesting at all. Obviously you have to shower, and that's what
depends, right?
I mean, I know sometimes you can be a little lazy, but to come back to the topic, that's exactly one of the points that the studies show. It doesn't matter where you do it consciously, but the moment where you have that awareness about your consumption, when you see that number somewhere, you unconsciously start reducing it. It's like going to the shower and just for a couple of seconds using the water less.
Is this a how do you say hypothesis?
Hypothesis. Yeah.
Is it that, or do you have any data that actually confirms this?
Obviously, we can't generate the data ourselves right now because we're still developing the software. But the studies are there where they used it in the shower, especially. And in the shower, it did make this effect.
Do you have a percentage? How likely is it?
Well, I have a percentage on how much you would normally save. That's 23% according to the study from Zurich. That's 8,500 liters, I think, and 443 kilowatt hours of energy. And this is where you save the most money, actually.
And on top of that, you have an AI algorithm that suggests or gives me suggestions how I can reduce my consumption.
Well, the AI right now, the most important thing is that it looks at the patterns of how you use your water. And with this pattern recognition, we can tell you what you have been using your water for. So unlike on fuel, for example, we don't need to measure your water consumption at one point. We measure it at a central point. This is why we use the main water meter in your home. And the AI does that, but obviously this will probably be a lot easier of an application of AI. We can do the personalized tips and tricks with AI-based approach as well. But that isn't one of the main points right now, because we have to get the pattern recognition going 100% to have a minimal viable product.
Okay.
How are you handling manufacturing at scale, especially for this? It's not that robust yet, right?
Yeah. Well, right now we're at a very early
Yeah,
stage. We use proprietary hardware. We use a Raspberry Pi and battery pack right now. When we try to scale it up, we will have to contact companies who have expertise in that area. And we actually have somebody already who we've been talking to. I'm not sure I can disclose it already who it is, but we have a letter of intent of those people who work in hardware development. And in general, right now, the solution, it doesn't hold up enough, long enough. I mean, it's very powerful after all. So we have to optimize the camera, we have to optimize a lot of things. But the goal right now is just to prove that the technology works. And the problem is the data isn't there. So we have to find a way to generate the data ourselves. So this is why it was so important to develop the hardware ourselves.
All right, thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, the presenter? Thank you very much. All right, so now it's time for the third startup of this evening, and I would like to welcome Philip from Find and Link here live on stage. All right. Here we go. Mal klicken, dann kriegst du.
Okay.
All right.
Trying to find a lawyer sucks, but we got a solution for you. Hi, we are Find and Link experts, a marketplace platform that brings together consultants, legal consultants, and startups. We have been speaking to a lot of startups, and all basically tell us the same. The problem is you want to find a suitable lawyer and you start Googling. But since you don't know what kind of specific case you have and what kind of wording you use, you have the problem that you don't know what keywords to search for. And after you have done with that, you need to schedule your first meeting. Call up a bunch of different lawyers, get your contract signed, only to be disappointed afterwards. A lot of startups told us that they have a huge pain. The first couple of lawyers you meet, most of the time, charge a lot of money and give little to no in return. So you try to cycle again through it. Find again a suitable lawyer. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of money. You don't want to have that. What kind of chances do you have to up the chances of finding? It doesn't work? No? Okay. What kind of chances do you have to up the chances of finding somebody suitable? Friends or family, stupid idea. You know that beforehand already. Communities or startups, only doable if you have a replicable business and it takes time. Or the last option, you can ask around accelerators. But the problem with accelerators is that they are most of the time are really overwhelmed and just give you somebody out of the network. On the other hand, have you ever read any legal topic at all or media where it was really captivating and you afterwards knew what kind of media you've read? No, really? The problem is that your legal consultant needs to know what they need to know, legal topics and not marketing. So how you can combine those two markets? Introducing Find and Link experts. We are a platform. You as a startup come to us, enter in your basic information. Afterwards, we have a case-specific filter system. We afterwards figure out what kind of case you really have, give you a list of different kinds of lawyers, and you can sort that by, for example, popularity or portfolio or other different kinds of things that you need to know. And afterwards, with a simple click of a button, arrange your first meeting. We are planning on tackling roughly a market of 300,000 newly founded businesses every year in Germany, and we want to have roughly 10% market share, which means 30,000 startups yearly. There are different kind of monetization models, for example, commission or monthly subscription. That seems pretty interesting to us, but we aren't focusing on that right now, that specifically, since we are still trying to search for a fitting product market fit. This is our team. We have 3 full stack developers. We already did similar projects. We know we can do this. And me, myself, who does the business administration part of things. The last part, which is pretty important to us, we still need prototype testers. So sign up now if you are interested in searching a legal consultant or if you need legal advice at all. Thank you a lot.
Right, thank you very much, Philip. You can just click to the next slide and then we can start with the jury questions. One click more and then the timer starts. Great.
Go ahead.
You said a lot of startups. How many startups did you actually talk to already?
Roughly 15 to 20.
Oh.
Yes.
And how many lawyers did you talk to?
We have talked to 7 and 3 of them gave specific permission that they want the product, they love it, and they are willing to take a 10% commission out of every single what's it called? Out of every single contract they get out of it. Yeah, transaction. You can roughly estimate that the transaction will cost 1,000 euro. So we get out of every single one 100 euro, and they think it's really fair, and they would love to have the product.
Is legal advice the category that you're most focused on at the moment, or the only focus? Or?
Good question. Good question. Yeah, we are, because we think that it's the most easy one to, in the beginning, introduce. But of course, there are different kinds of bigger problems. For example, a tax consultant. You can get that one pretty easy if you know what you want to do, but it's sometimes also hard if you don't know what you're doing. And the other part, which is really important, is notarities or notaries. I hope I got that right. The people who basically sign the contract afterwards to make sure everything is right. This is a huge issue, but since the legal topic around it is pretty hard to understand, we are not tackling it yet. Yes, this is the roadmap generally.
Can I?
Yeah.
I kind of see a little problem. I'm a startup. I need legal advice. I come to you. I find my dream team, my dream lawyer, and then I'm gone. I'm not your customer anymore because I already found my lawyer. So basically I can sketch you out afterwards. So it's a one-time fee that I'm paying you right now, unless it's a subscription model, which I still don't know how that will work. Because if I just need a lawyer once, why would I pay you monthly?
Yes, you are completely right. I agree with everything you've said, and that's the fun of it. Because we are not tackling, we are not focusing on startups because startups don't have money. The first ideas we had were generally considered around startups, and you don't want to pay for that. You will do it by yourself. We'll spend 8 or 9 hours, maybe like till 3 in the morning, till you don't have any concentration anymore, and then found somebody that is maybe like half okay and be disappointed. Now, we want to go the other way around. The people who will be monetizing are not startups, but legal consultants. And since this is a daily business they have, and startup topics usually cycle through pretty fastly, this is a way of monetizing things. But startups, unfortunately, don't have a lot of money for that.
But why do you want to only focus on the startup industry, let's say?
There are a couple of different reasons. I think the most interesting one is it is niche enough so that competitors are not trying to come and steal it away from us. Okay. It is not that big of a market, and bigger ones are focused on a more general topic of people. I think the other thing which is really interesting is you can always make more out of this idea if you concentrate on startups. Startups have a lot of kinds of issues that are not really explored that well, and you can generally pretty easily scale up those problems.
But don't they have always the same problem?
Not really.
Well, yes. Are you sure? But there are some standardized legal issues, I guess, right? Yes. And and when it comes to artificial intelligence, I think this is our 2 startups. Artificial intelligence, probably you use it too, I guess, right?
In the beginning.
Yeah. See, so from my stupid point of view, let's say, right? So if there's a standard legal issue, I can easily use artificial intelligence to solve the problem. And I think in the future, when you talk about blockchain, this is easily done. Or when you think about accounting, computer can do it, right?
Yes.
Or also when you do from the insurance industry, if there's some stuff coming in, just check it through with your artificial intelligence, and that's it. So why do you need this kind of a platform?
You are completely right. There are already existing products out in the open market where you can ask artificial intelligence. Most of the time, it's not about startups, but more about, for example, getting a package ticket. But the big difference behind that is you don't want to give your trust behind some construct that you don't understand. Human connection is always the thing that gives the most safety and most trust, and therefore they still go to lawyers instead of asking those constructs.
Lawyers, because, well, from my point of experience, good ones don't need more.
I would argue you are to some extent right, but the good ones are usually the big ones, and the big ones are usually the ones that are harder to come by or harder to get. For the more little ones, for example, okay, I'm not allowed to say names, but they're, oh.
5 minutes are done. But thanks for the input. Thanks. All right, so as you guys have seen, the pitching session went by pretty fast. And now we're thrilled to have Adrian Thoma here on stage to present us some startup lessons and startup lessons learned from his life as a serial founder. So we have a small input for you. Keep your eyes open and, sorry, your ears open, of course, and listen closely because he has very interesting stuff to tell you guys. So are we ready here? Let's go.
Hey guys, this is Adrian. Hi to all of you, hi to the audience, hi to the teams. Thanks for having me, especially Daniel and team for organizing this event. And I was invited to, first of all, say some things about what we do at Gründermotor, because I think it could be interesting for you guys if you are planning, or especially when you are about to start a startup, or if you are already having one and want to scale and take the next step, then I think we can help you, finding the right partners, customers, etc. So before I do that, maybe some more words about me. Who am I? So I said before, my name is Adrian. Nice to meet you. First of all, I'm a family father. I'm a super happy and proud dad of 3 kids, 2 daughters and 1 boy child. Secondly, I'm a startup founder myself. So I founded my first startup directly after the university. I studied here in Stuttgart at the University of Applied Sciences for media. I think that's the correct name, the HDM in German, here in Stuttgart. And I founded basically 2 startups directly after finishing university. One of them was quite successful, the Simple Show. We scaled the startup from 0 to around about 100 employees within 5 years. Then sold the company to a private equity firm. And the other startup I founded, we were lucky enough to not to be successful, but I had the opportunity to learn so much about all the things you should not do when running a startup. So that was also very helpful, I guess. So when we talk about Gründermotor, and especially what we learned at Gründermotor and how Gründermotor can help you guys taking the next step. So first of all, 2 sentences about who is Gründermotor. Actually, it's a public-private partnership. It's an initiative we as Pioneer guys co-initiated, I would say 3 to 4 years ago, together with the state of Baden-Württemberg, as well as the University of Stuttgart, and Vector Informatik, which is a great, I would say, Mittelstand company, corporate company in Stuttgart-Weilendorf, automotive supplier in the software space. And after we started this initiative that was originally built in order to make university spin-offs across all Baden-Württemberg more successful when it comes to launching their products, selling their products and offers and services to the right customers, finding the right investors in order to finance their startups. Now, 3 or 4 years later, there are over 140 partners that have already joined the initiative, from different spaces, from different backgrounds, which is super important for us, because we think that in order to build an innovation, a startup platform like Gründermotor is for Baden-Württemberg, it's really helpful to connect the different players from the different areas, from the different spaces, and arrange them in a way that they are helpful for the startups to take the next step. So we are super super proud to have that, broad support of all kinds of partners here in Baden-Württemberg. And so we run a couple of, I would say, innovation programs, startup programs, such as the Meisterklasse, such as Biz and Tech, such as ASAP BW, which you might heard of. And all of these programs are here to always identify the right the startups in a certain I would say development phase and bring them to the next level, whether it's finding the right entry point into the market, or finding the right first investor that they haven't met before, or finding the right customers and being able to really build strong B2B relationships, sales relationships with big Mittelstand companies, which is not so easy to sell to if you haven't done it before. So this is what our programs are about. And after having run through a couple of programs, we kind of collected some learnings out of that activities, which I would like to share with you guys. And the first learning is that we always, there's a lot of things that are super important for startups. And of course, it's all about tech, right? And of course, in order to exploit the technology, you need several kinds of tools. You need to be organized. You have processes. You need a finance plan, all that stuff, which is super important, which you learn at the business school. But especially in a very early phase, we learned that it's even more important to really focus on two things that especially investors in the early days are really focused on, which is team and traction. So this would be our encouragement to you guys out there to, of course, build tech products, tech savvy products, but at the same time, really take care of your team, take care of your co-founders. If you are about to find the right co-founders or other people that want to join your company in the very early days, really make sure that that these people are chosen wisely, because in the end it's always a people's business, right? And you have to rely on each other. You have to go through phases of the company where it's not just about fun, the fun part of it. Of course, it makes fun at the end of the day, hopefully, but not every day. So really focus on the team and make sure that the team is complementary. So really take care of the team. And secondly, you should really try to focus on traction, right? It's not that important to have a product ready or built or whatever, but it's more important, especially in the early days, to really focus on traction and bring customers to the table and bring LOIs to the table and bring users and usage to the table instead of just focusing on tech and tools. This is the first advice I would give to you. The second advice is, and we learned that from I would say the most successful accelerator, company builder, incubator, name it as you want, in the world, the Y Combinator in Silicon Valley. And Paul Graham, one of the initiators, once said, "Do things that don't scale." And that might that might sound somehow strange, because of course, if you want to build really successful companies, really large companies, of course, it's about scalability, right? No investor in, I would say, a seed phase or whatever would ever invest in a company that is not scalable. But in the early days, it's not that important to build things that scale, but to be really fast when it comes to learning. And there's one really cool example out there, which I like very much. It's Zappos. You might know Zappos. It's that business model that's all around selling shoes online. The German Zappos is called Zalando. And the founder, when he founded the startup a couple of years ago, when it was not clear whether selling shoes online is a good idea or is a shitty idea, his first step was not to build a scalable, platform, e-commerce platform with all the logistics and all that stuff implemented from day one, which would have taken, years to develop. His first step was to validate on the hypotheses whether there are people out there that are willing to buy shoes. And therefore, he did build something that was not scalable at all. He went to some shoe stores and took his camera with him and took some pictures of the shoes he wanted to try selling, and put that pictures on a shitty website, with no with no functionality behind it all. It was just a pure front-end landing page with the pictures of the shoes and the original prices from the shoe stores on that website, and a button, I want to buy button under the pictures. And by tracking how much people actually clicked on that buy button, he somehow found out whether people are willing to buy shoes online or not without having to build a fully scalable platform. So this was basically the critical hypothesis that was basically so important to find out whether this business model was it would make sense to further work on this business model or not. And so this is why the founder chose to build something that was not scalable at all. Second example is Vialytics, great Stuttgart startups. We had the honor to cooperate with, especially in the early days. They just recently won the Stuttgart Innovationspreis. So they are an AI startup that are basically helping communities, municipal authorities to manage their streets in a certain quality, to identify, cracks, etc., on the streets. But when they started in the early days, they did not so much focus on the perfect AI algorithm and to build a product and the GUI and whatever they need now in order to sell a product. They went out with a shitty smartphone camera and put this in the windshield of their car, and they basically drove through the streets and then manually clicked from frame to frame and manually identified the cracks in the streets in order to then go to the municipal authorities and run through the maps and identify, which streets are in what kind of quality and which should be repaired first in order to avoid bigger issues. So again, a great example of how to do things in the early days without, the intention of scaling it, but in order to learn really quickly and to find out whether people are, likely to buy or not. And the third and last advice is basically, and this is kind of a contradiction, is you have to do two things at the same time. And the one thing is you have to think big. The Swiss Army knife, the fully fledged solution that is able to to be implemented worldwide with a large customer audience, and at the same time you have to be able to bring that big vision, that big bold worldwide vision into the now and being able to start niche. And this is somehow this sounds somehow paradox, because it's so difficult, because it's basically it drives you mad, right? Because on the one hand, you don't get investors if you don't make them think big, and they want to see from you that you are able to think big. But you won't get any customers if you aren't able to come around with something that is usable right now, today, not in 10 years, but right now. And you aren't able to build the fully fledged solution right now. So you have to come up with something very, very clear, very niche, very discrete functionalities And I've also some or two, I think it's two great examples of how successful, very successful companies manage to do so. First of them is Netflix, and there's this great poster. I brought a picture from which says, "Don't give up on your dreams. We started with DVDs." So Netflix right now, of course, is the world's leading streaming supplier. And you can all, you can use their services online, on smartphones, on TVs, etc. But actually, they started very niche with a completely, I would say, also different market approach, with selling DVDs online to a customer base that was not longer willing to go into their DVD shop across the street, but would more prefer the online version and rent DVDs online and send them back after they have seen the movies. So they also started with a very niche, non-digitized business model in order to get the customer in the first place, and then build up that huge scalable online streaming platform years later. And the second example, which is also very interesting, N26. Most of you might have heard of them. I mean, I think it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, fintech in Europe. Very successful mobile bank, and they actually started under a different name. It was called Papaye, and they, in the first place, focused on parents that wanted to get some overview on how their kids are spending money. So if teenagers get their first credit card, many parents would not be so happy to hand over the daddy's credit card without knowing what the kid is doing with it. So they came up with a credit card solution that also offered kind of a backend system for the parents in order to really understand what the kid is doing with the money and how the money is spent, and also to bring some cash limits. And that was really helpful for them, because they found out with that niche approach that, first of all, that use case was not good enough to build a company upon, but at the same time they learned very much about how a dashboard should look like, and how transaction and cash management could be also displayed in a software solution, which they then took over when they started N26 with all that cash management and stuff like that. So that was also very important for them to start niche with a niche use case, teenagers and their parents, which they then took over when later on they scaled the company to a really huge fintech years later. So this is it basically. I'm super happy to have the chance to give you some insights into the startup world, and I would happily invite you to add me on LinkedIn. And if you're interested in taking your startup to the next level, then please reach out on gründermotor.io, and all the best. Ciao.
Many thanks to Adrian. I think it was really cool to get another perspective on how to scale. We will directly continue with the next startup. Please come to the stage, Tim from Respeak. Ja, du kannst.
Respeak, all right. And we are the next step in scalable communication. Why is that important? Companies need communication with their company, with their customers, employees, and partners in order to better understand how they can provide more value. But let's face it, today, if you think about wide audiences, large number of customers, communication looks like this, like a like on social media. or like this, a questionnaire that you send out in the hope that you get the nuggets that you need to build better products. And now think about the last questionnaire that you've done. Was it an enjoyable experience? Did you even complete it? And what we find is that questionnaires in general are just not engaging, leaving companies with shallow insights and bad completion rates. And this is where ReSpeak comes in. We want to bring questionnaires to the next level by building the most compelling automated dialogue platform. What do we mean by dialogue? Our dialogues take the things that questionnaires are nailing currently, which is they're easy to set up in less than 10 minutes, starting from templates or from scratch with your own ideas. But then we enrich this experience with the benefits that a real person-to-person communication has today. Meaning we will ask intelligent follow-up questions to allow participants to go deeper and get to the real insights. And also, just like a real conversation, we use a social adaptive design to motivate our participants. And we measure the benefits of these dialogues compared against state-of-the-art service, because what we do changes how companies can engage their partners and customers. Our system creates roughly twice the number of answers, up to 60% more implications, and has a completion rate that's easily above 65%. These numbers stem from our pilot projects that we have already completed. In 5 pilot projects in the areas of user research and employee engagement right now, we looked into this use case, identified that there's huge potential, and we also learned a lot about the use case themselves. Now our next step, just this week, we started our the biggest project so far as a conversational partner, because we see conversation is everywhere. And this also helped us to, in just 3.5 months since we incorporated, grow our revenue to 5 figures. Now let me close by telling you a little bit about the founding team. It's consisting of Jasper Feiner and myself. We both hold PhDs in information systems from the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, where we spent a combined 7 years researching machine learning and human-computer interaction, published in over 10 international conferences. And now with the benefits that the research grant or business startup grant gives us, we are able to bring the benefits that have been shown in research to practice, to your company or to your companies, and to finally enable people to enjoy building better products, services, and companies. Thank you.
Tim, can you please just click one more time? Yes. Thank you. So now it's time for the questions.
What phase are you currently in? What would you say? Like, what is currently going on?
Well, what we are doing is we still evaluate the product market fit, just because, as I mentioned, as you can see, communication or conversation can be used in various use cases, and we're trying to find the one where we can provide the most impact. Yeah.
The first thing that came to my mind was SurveyMonkey. Probably should be one of your biggest competitors. Can you elaborate more what makes you different from, for example, SurveyMonkey?
Yeah. SurveyMonkey is a great example because I just saw a survey yesterday, which is about 30% of the companies use SurveyMonkey as a questionnaire provider. What they do is they offer the standard questionnaire. So you have to think about what you want to ask or use one of their templates, but they will stick to the structure that you provide them with. If there's an answer that could potentially be interesting, and if you would do an interview, you would expand upon, like dig deeper. This is what they won't do. You will get a free text field, you will give an answer, and that's it. You will go to the next question. With our system, the system will recognize that there's information there that you could expand upon, and it digs deeper automatically.
And the questions are generated then by the system.
Exactly.
And how?
That's an excellent question, because what we actually want companies is to end up with more qualitative data. So because this is where the nuggets are. Of course, we also include an analysis model, which provides you with a dashboard that's supposed to give you all the insights you need in real time. So what we do is sort of the industry standard of sentiment analysis, topic model, and so on. And we keep improving this, tweaking this, because our idea is that what we do is sort of provide a conversational dashboard as well. So we want to tell a story through the data that we collect. But the idea is that you can get insights on the touch of a button.
Okay. Another question. Now, SurveyMonkey is pretty big. Sorry to mention them again, but how fast can you replicate your AI?
It's not, the thing is, the dialogue AI that we use, it's not really about the AI in general, because think about it, if you have a question, and I can only build a great AI if I have a lot of data to build it up on. If you have this data already, like why would you ask the question in the first place? Our system is more about how can I train this system interactively to work for different domains, different use cases. And the knowledge to do this comes from our research background. So what makes us different is how we can, as a team, interactively or enable a customer to interactively train the system to work for every domain, get started quickly, and then get the data analysis on top. And this is really hard to do, and you need the information that sort of our research gave us.
Yeah, may I also?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Arjan just told us about team and traction.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 people, team. Is that enough first?
No, that's the founding team.
The founding
we have 4
team.
people right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And traction, how do you generate traction?
How do we generate traction?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, our traction. So we have six pilot products, 6 projects so far, and the first 3 were unpaid because we just wanted to get a grip of the market. The current 3 that we're doing are paid. As I mentioned, the 5 figures revenue had to come from somewhere. And also, how I like generating traction actually, because we ourselves get a lot of questionnaires every day. And what we usually do is we take them, we build them into our system. It takes us, as I mentioned, about 10 minutes, and we send them back. And most of the time, people are like, "Oh, that's interesting. Let's try it." Like, if I can get a better survey for a good price, then why not?
What is it then your business model? How do you make money?
We are software as a service, so we are license based. Yeah.
Rebound marketing. That's interesting. Tim, one question, personal question. You're a data guy, right? So why communications? What's your motivation for it?
Yeah. My motivation for this is that I did a lot of, so I come from user research actually. I did a lot of design thinking back in my days as a student, and I love talking to people, but I never felt that I could talk to enough people really. So I could like talk to 10 people, and then I would do a survey to get the other 200 or something to see if my assumptions still hold up. And I thought there must be a technological solution that helps me to sort of virtualize myself and send myself out to do more interviews, so to say. Not to really replace the human contact, because we think this is essential to get a feel for people, but just as a way to make qualitative research more scalable.
Yeah. I have one more question. How did you do the problem validation? Is there even like a fit for this?
Well, this is a twofold answer. We're still doing the problem validation because, as I mentioned, we're looking into various different use cases. User research is the one that we're most familiar with, where the second sentence that we get when we present this to people is, "Wow, you enable me to do better qualitative research, better data collection." And
time's up again.
Maybe let's
All right, you can hand it over to me. Thank you very much. All right, now it's time to invite the next startup of this evening on stage. Please welcome Götze from Synit Solutions. All right, presenter, microphone. All right.
So hello and welcome from my side. My name is Götze. I'm the co-founder of Synit Solutions. And today I'm standing here in front of you because, oops, okay, not. No. Okay. Yeah, because everyone is talking about climate change, and we know that the industry is one of the biggest contributors to climate change. But what we are not dealing enough are the consequences for the industry. So, and this is what I want to talk about today. So if you have a look on the consequences for the industry, then it's clear that the industry is facing multiple challenges. On the one hand, they have to achieve the climate goal, which has been set from the European Commission, where they have to be climate neutral until 2050. Then we have the higher increasing CO2 prices, which will be doubled by 2025. On the other side, we have the stakeholders who are demanding for proof of compliance with ESG criteria for further collaboration. And last but not least, we have the governance regulations such as the mandatory reporting, which will start next year and which is almost obliged to all companies to publish a sustainability report. So we from Synit Solutions have understood those challenges and set ourselves the mission to support companies produce more resource efficient with the aid of a software as a service solution to reduce the ecological footprint. So that you can improve your sustainability, we have the following 3 steps approach. In the first step, we are doing a sustainability analysis within the production. This means we are connecting real-time data together with SAP data and assessing them. In the second step, we are doing a target actual comparison, which is related to the sustainability goals. So you have your current performance always on mind. And last but not least, you can export the results from the analysis and from the comparison and put them to your sustainability report through the tool. So this is an example how your overview can look like. It's basically a dashboard and you have all your important metrics on one point, and you can track. So with this, we are preparing sustainability analysis, so you don't have to put in that much manual effort, and we are connecting the real-time data and together with other important metrics and do the analysis on a more detailed basis, so that you are prepared for the further governance regulations. And we are doing it, as I said, with a software as a service solution. So we have a one-time integration cost, and after that, a subscription model. So, and what Synit Solutions make unique is that we are completely focusing on all relevant metrics within the production and do an automated extraction of data, which can be directly also put into the sustainability report. So this is the teams of Synit Solutions who are enabling the sustainable future, because we are bringing up together 5 years of experience in software development and Industry 4.0 topics. So if you are interested in Synit Solutions, okay, let's get in contact.
Okay, just click the next slide and then the questions can start. Perfect.
I have a question. Do you have some numbers for us? So how much cheaper is it for a company to get your solution than just to pay the price of it?
Yeah, we are actually right now in the contact with one company where we have done an estimation for ROE where it's less than 1 year, because we are, in this case, we are only focusing on the energy monitoring, and we have calculated mostly also the effort from the sustainability manager. And this, we are, as I said, we are with our tool, he doesn't have to do the sustainability monitoring, or they need to collect the data on his own. So we are supporting him on the one side, and also saving time from his or her working time. So as I said, ROE for less than 1 year in this case.
Okay, ROE 1 year. And you are calculating with subpoenas or with like like with things that they have to pay in order to get free of the market, or what would you say is your ground of validation? Where are your numbers coming from?
Yeah, I mean, in this case, we have calculated how much time it would take to put all those information together. And then we have the point that even the sustainability manager, for example, collects all the important information. They cannot get that much into detail. So they would only have, for example, in this case, it was just getting the information from like documentations and stuff like that, or from databases where they are, but they cannot go that much into into the detail. So we are saving this time. So we have collected and is estimated and calculated the before and after, so let's say this. So how much time would it take if she does on his own, and how much would it take if you are doing it with a tool?
How are you integrating with the system landscape at the customer, as this usually is different from customer to customer, right? So
yes, of course. So there we have some specific requirements. In this case, the customer, I mean, we're starting that the customer has already a let's say connection or hardware connection, so we can adapt on that and track the data automatically from the machines, and of course the interfaces to the databases which are necessary. This is of course also one let's say individual process, but that's why we are starting integrating with SAP, because almost all companies have SAP, are using SAP, so we can standardize this interface, and then if we have achieved that goal, we can go on with other interfaces.
thanks.
So machine data is already in SAP for production.
Yeah, this I mean, it depends on the data. There are, of course, machine data. So like how long is the waiting time, or let's say setting up time. So those are in data which are already in the SAP system.
For your analysis.
No, that's why we are connecting on the machines, that we can get directly the information whether the machines have stopped or is still working, running all the time.
And two questions. First, what are your key partners? How many do you have, or how many key partners do you all have already, or clients, let's say? First question.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe to answer the first question. So we don't have now started with a proof of concept. We are doing in our in a, let's say, research environment and developing our MVP. So but we are already in discussion with 2 customers to start a proof of concept over there. And there's
Solution, do you only offer, let's say, a dashboard or any analysis how to, let's say, improve your sustainability or your ecological footprint, let's say?
So first, right now we are first started only to monitor and track the information, because it's important to put all those information into the sustainability report, and it's also important to track the progress of the company. So in this case, we only for the first the step is to track them and put all the information together. In the next step, we would go on with optimizing this production, of course. Yeah.
Thank you. To create that dashboard, how long do you need to collect data for?
You mean to develop the dashboard, or?
Yeah, like if you have to bring your sensor onto the machine, the machine needs to like working, and then you need to collect the data. But how long do you need to collect the data for, specifically for one machine?
Yeah, I mean, this is also, I would say, more or less something individual. It depends, of course, on the setting of the production line, so which base it has, so how is this setting set up, and how which, let's say, machine or let's specify it on a use case, how big the use case is or not. So is it only a one machine we're tracking them? Is it more a complete production line? So
time is over.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we are coming to our last startup, and you all know the person that will pitch now. Please welcome to the stage Jonas from Hydrones.
All right. Does anyone among us not like amazing food? We at Hydrones say the better the farmer knows his fields, the better his food will be. And that's why we optimize agricultural processes so that the farmer knows better how the plant's health is. All right. We figured out that farmers don't have an overview over the conditions on their farmland. For example, when there is a storm coming, the farmer needs to go out to each and every field to check if there's any damage. The same also applies if he wants to monitor crop health or if he wants to detect diseases. Of course, you can imagine that is extremely time consuming. And it's not only time consuming, but also really inefficient. So farmers often hire external service providers to help them survey their land. This is not only expensive, but it also takes the farmer time to instruct those service providers. We at Hydrones thought in an era of digitalization, there should be a better option of handling these things. So what we do, we create autonomous drones that gather data on the farmer's fields. We then put this data into our machine learning algorithms and analyze all the data. The farmer then gets a very simple overview in a dashboard and thus transparency over his fields. So he can tackle the problems of his crops on a very small scale. To show you that our idea is not only very useful, but we have also a market for that, we have some data from the smart farming market for you. At the moment, the market size is at around 12.4 billion US dollars, and it is expected to double in the next 3 years. Especially in Germany, the highest growth is expected over whole Europe. To get to this huge market, we apply a cross-selling model. At first, we sell our hardware to the farmers, and then we offer subscription models and maintenance plans in the aftermarket. But our founding team consists of computer scientists, and we are also backed up by some business development and legal issues expertise. All right, so why should you choose us? Why should you choose Hydrones? And our unique selling point is that the farmer does not have to familiarize himself with our technology at all. So when you look at our competitors like John Deere or DJI, you would always have to learn how to fly a drone, how to apply to all these regulations. You would always have to know how to analyze the data by yourself. And with high drones, everything happens with a push of a button. So actually we save the farmers lots of time and money compared to our competitors. We are high drones flying above to simplify agriculture. Thanks.
I have a question, and it's an interpersonal one. How do you approach someone who has been maybe the only reason to buy technology means to buy a better tractor, to buy you know, something that you can actually work with, and now you're coming with an autonomous where he can't do anything but has to believe you that it's actually worth it. How do you approach that?
Yeah, that's actually a very hard question. So at the moment we target farmers who are quite young, so they know how the development is going in that scene, and they know how to use drones and all this stuff. But of course, older farmers, they have lots of biases against our technology, so it's very hard. So our approach is to target people who are mostly under 40.
I do know that there are a lot of them that actually are tech keen and are interested. How many farmers did you talk to?
We talked to 15 farmers so far, but at the moment we are validating our business model and all our ideas with more farmers. So we expect to hit the number of 50 in the next 2 months.
And last question from my side, sorry about that, but really interested. What's the margin? Like, how do you say, what can you save them? How much? What's the numbers?
I don't have calculated numbers right now, but it's like 100 euros per acre. Yeah, but at the moment there are other products on the market like crop monitoring systems that you can attach to your tractor. They cost around 50,000 euros, so it's a very high investment. So our solution is even cheaper when they buy them.
So you said that you want to start with just selling your hardware. What does your hardware consist of? How expensive is it? And what do I get with just hardware?
We don't want to start with only selling hardware. It's a combination of this hardware and software. Our hardware is just drones, which we sell to the farmer. They can start autonomously, they charge autonomously, so the farmer doesn't have any work with that. Our drones cost in manufacturing around 250 euros, and we can sell them for at least 4 times the price. Our software is the most important part of our business model because we perform machine learning algorithms on all the data we gather with the drones. So the very important part are those machine learning algorithms, so the farmer really knows what's going on his fields.
By machine learning, you mean artificial intelligence, or is there something else?
Yeah, sorry, I mixed that up. Machine learning.
But when it comes to, for example, I'm a farmer, right? So unfortunately, I'm over 40. So I'm too old for that type loan, I guess. But anyway, now actually, you know, you come to my farm and then actually do you install everything there? So, you know, because it's an drone, right? But I have to let you know, okay, this is my field here and there, and I give you a plan, or do I have to, you know?
Exactly. Farmers mostly have a digitalized plan of their farm so far. We can just simply use this plan and we place a launch system on the farm. There are 5 drones in a stack, and from there all the drones launch. So the farmer basically has to plug in energy and the system is going.
Digitalized?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we are also able to do that. Of course, that all requires some extra work.
So just to understand, so you're also designing and building the drones yourself, so you're not sourcing them directly from.
Exactly. That's with on our drones to perform these analysis, because other competitors also have drones, for example, with thermal imaging cameras or with crop sensors, but we have a drone which is perfect for the use case. So we combine everything that is needed.
Did you try MVP already?
Yes, we have a drone which is able to fly autonomously at the moment, and we can get the data on the fields, but our machine learning algorithms don't work really good so far. We can just perform simple analysis like NDVI, so to track if a plant is healthy or not, but of course, more needs to follow.
If you could only focus on one, would you focus on the software part or the hardware part?
Definitely software.
Mm-hmm.
What are your main competitors?
Definitely DJI and some normal tractor companies like John Deere. They also develop drones at the moment in a very large scale. The big point where we set us up from our competitors is that we are fully autonomous.
Time's up. I'm sorry. So now we will have our break of 10 minutes and the jury will have time to discuss the winners from the day. If you guys have any questions to the jury members or to the startup representatives, then type it now in the chat and we will ask them later in the networking session. See you later.
Es ist stark die Startup-Heimat in Stuttgart. Man trifft Teilnehmer, man bekommt Mentoring und Coaching. Jeder kriegt die beste Verpflegung und sehr inspirierenden Umfeld. Das Coolste im Steig sind die Personen. Es ist immer jemand erreichbar, es ist immer jemand da. Hier können wir uns alles trauen. Hier sind eine ganze Menge Leute, mit denen man Ideen hin und her werfen kann. Und das ist einfach geil. Zudem gibt es immer sehr viele Events wie heute, wo man sich gut zu mit Corporates als auch mit Startups vernetzen kann. Und wir profitieren enorm davon, dass wir herausfinden, wie haben die welche Fragestellungen gelöst. Abgesehen davon ist natürlich auch unheimlich motivierend zu sehen, wie die sich neben uns entwickeln. Steig an sich als Location liegt zentral, weil ideal für uns im Endeffekt hier einen Workshop zu machen, die gesamte Atmosphäre, eine tolle Sache.
Good. Sorry for the delay. The jury members needed a few more minutes to discuss. Yes, but welcome back. Before we start with the award ceremony, I have two information. The first information is that if you are interested in winning the audience prize, then please type in the chat, I want to see the Start Summit. And we will choose, of course, randomly someone later. The other information is for the startups. When you are a winner, you're under the first 3 places, please come here and stay here for a few moments. So we will take a quick photo and don't run away. Yeah. So jury members, please tell us who is the 3rd place and who won 2 tickets for a Start Summit.
All right, I have the honor to name every winner. But before that, I would like to say that thank you to everyone for presenting. Everyone did a very, very good job. It was super, super difficult for us. And I'm pretty sure that if we had more time, we probably would have stayed in our little room and discussed more. But long story short, 3rd place goes to Hydrones.
Thank you very much. Right, small photo. Yes.
Perfect, thank you. So it's time for the 2nd place. Jury members, please tell us who is the 2nd place and who can choose between a 2 hours business coaching from a business angel of us or a slot at the tower pitch.
Again, this was very difficult, but we chose this startup because we think that there's definitely a need in the market for it, and we see hopefully exponential growth, and that's why we chose Gauss ML as a 2nd.
Congratulations. Perfect. Thank you. So before we come to the first place, I have here the audience winner. The audience award goes to Lisa Steinhauser. So, and now is the time, the big moment for the first place. Jury members, please tell us who is the first place, who will travel to St. Gallen, and who will have the chance to fight for 10,000 Swiss francs.
Yeah, we are very excited, and we chose this particular startup because of the team, and they convinced us most with their technology. And we are super, super excited to announce Respeak as a #1 startup today.
You can hold it?
I can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, then. Now it's time, or not. Okay, so now it's time to thank our amazing sponsors who made this evening possible. So we would especially like to thank Steig, the startup hub here, that they were able to give us this amazing space, and without them, that would not have been possible at all. We also want to thank AIB for being an amazing company to fund all of our things we did today, and it was super quick to communicate with them. So thank you very much. Also, special. Very good. Also, thanks to the startup angels Alp Bodensee, as well as Gründers and ASAP BW for sponsoring our very cool prizes. Thank you very much. And definitely thanks also to our jury. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for making the tough decision. And yeah, thanks for being here. We have something prepared for you, so we will give that to you later. All right, and last but not least, we would like to thank our amazing team here at Start Stuttgart for working very hard during the last few weeks and days. And especially we would like also to thank Björn and Kai from our technologies team to make everything possible. All right, now I would like to invite Marco again to the stage to discuss some interesting topics.
Perfect. We are not quite at the end. As we promised, we want to talk with you about some future projects, and the first future project is one I'm really excited about. It's called Start Friends. And as you all know, we are currently connecting students across Stuttgart that are interested in startups and entrepreneurship. And we want to expand this network and create an exchange platform where we not only connect students, but also investors, potential co-founders, and companies and universities. We want to create win-win situations where founders are looking for co-founders, investors matching with startups, and companies and universities can stay connected to the startup scene in Stuttgart. If you guys are interested to be part of Start Friends and start part of the network, then please click under the first link we will push now in the chat. Then there is another topic I want to talk with you about. I want to use this opportunity to encourage the students among us, among the audience, to become a part of Start Stuttgart. I know when you're looking this, you are interested in startups and entrepreneurships, otherwise you wouldn't be there tonight. So if you want to find like-minded students and you want to be part of the biggest international network for students that are interested in this whole topic, then click to the second link and we will post right now in the chat function.
All right then, but before you leave today, definitely make sure to scan this QR code and register for our Start Summit. You will meet over 5,000 amazing people there. You will have workshops which you can attend. You can network with the most amazing people all over the world. So make sure to join us at the virtual conference. You can also join us directly in St. Gallen, so feel free to choose. If you're more into hacking and developing digital solutions, then the Start Hack might be the right thing for you. This year we have 2 locations, one in Helsinki and one as well in St. Gallen. So if you would like to work on real-world problems, which some companies provide to us, then register for Start Hack. All right. And now some slides from our partner, Erlebe, if they want to come up.
Yeah.
All right. So if you have a startup in a very early stage, if you only have an idea, then this is definitely the right program for you. You can push a project from an idea to product market fit in a very short time. You have 5 challenges, so it's very easy to continue with your startup project. One more click, or even more clicks. Anyways, you can also use this one. Okay. So the good thing is you can join at any time in any early phase. Click. All right. So if you're ready to boost your idea from your idea to product market fit, this is the program for you. The final is taking place at the 17th of February. So make sure to hurry up if you want to be part of it. There you can get prizes for up to 1,000 euros, as well as traction and visibility for your startup. Super important for everyone. All right. Register at asap-bw.com. The link is in the chat. Thanks.
Perfect. We're still not at the end. We have one more last point, our networking session and our Q&A for the jury members and the startup representatives. For this, please, all startup representatives come to the stage right now. The audience ask some questions in the break. Therefore, I need the laptop. Okay, perfect. So I will ask some questions to you, and you can just answer what is in your head. So let's see. Where's the first question? I need a few seconds. Okay, first question. Maybe the first question is a little bit more for the jury members. Can you give us some tips on how to find the right investors and how to approach them? Yes, I think you can answer too. So if someone wants to say something, just grab the microphone and answer the question.
Yeah, maybe I can tell a little bit about my own experience. So I think with investors, it's a little bit the same as with startups. You have to focus when you're figuring out what to do. Same happens with investors. So the best investors really have the focus in the field that you're working with your startup. They have the focus in the right region, in the right stage of the startup life. And I think I would recommend to really make sure that they follow those categories.
Maybe some addition on that. With Hydrons, we approached investors way too early. So most investors really want to have a validated product. That's quite important. And the best is if you have some traction to show, so that you're already selling some stuff. That's super amazing.
On top of that, we haven't looked up for any funding yet, but we had a similar idea beforehand where we wanted to get investors in startups working with each other. And we did talk to a bunch of business angels, and most of them said, hey, I really would love to have more applications. I get way too less applications. I'm just like having one application a month. That's not even close to enough. So my idea would just go for it. Just sign out this little registration form you most of the time have in such business angel networking sites and try it out.
Maybe just one additional thing, because I worked like at the university and at the Institute for Entrepreneurship in Stuttgart. There are very many programs and grants, especially in Germany, who would love to help you. And normally people always think that you need to go to an investor and you need to bang on the door and get some funding this way. But the problem is normally VCs, especially when you're in a very early stage, are like vultures. They will eat you alive, and you don't want that happening. So, I mean, one of the best inputs we had so far in our whole journey was that first you go to friends and family, which kind of sounds too nice. Then you go to the states, to the country, and try to get some funding there. And it's amazing how much you can actually get, especially when you go to like a European level. And then you can go to business angels and VC and so on. And it's amazing how far you can get without even talking to some greasy guy in a suit who doesn't want to give you his money and so on and so on.
Oh yeah, I'm really sorry. Once the investors are coming up, I'm really sorry. I wanted to add something because of the good investors aren't the greedy ones, because they will destroy you and then their investment wouldn't work out. So, but I agree with you. Trust your gut. That's the most important part about it. Like, use smart money over just the money you get easily. Well, networks. 100%. Make it known that you are looking for an investment. That's something, you know, sometimes people try to hide behind the bush and then, you know, maybe we offer a little bit of sale, but you know, just something, well, be there, be proud. Hey guys, we are at the stage where we need money in order to grow. And yeah, trust your gut and get into networks. Yes, all the networks. Use all the networks that you want to go to.
Maybe to add on that, a very practical tip I can give is LinkedIn is your best friend. It's not Google, it's LinkedIn. Use it.
But it's like a network.
Yeah,
right?
Network definitely, but sometimes you are, unfortunately, you don't have anyone who is like in your immediate network that might be a good strategic partner, because we just talked about smart money. That's very, very important. So LinkedIn, just cold outreach. Most of the times you get something back.
And spread the word.
Yeah.
Good. Many thanks to a lot of answers. I have a little bit more special question. When is the right time for a startup to go from pre-seed to seed phase? And maybe for the guys at home that don't know what's the difference, please explain it. Or even the first person can explain it and the others don't have to.
Well. And all the other faces there. So to be fair, since I didn't do a lot of fundraising myself so far, I didn't have to put myself into the shoes of narrowly framing which phase I'm in. I'm always saying we are seed phase, because our pre-seed money is, and we talked about grants before, is the Access Business Grant, which I, by the way, can recommend because it's really cool and you get free money, in air quotes. I think from what I've read on LinkedIn and on other places, is that the general opinion is the names change, but the idea stays the same. I mean, as a startup, you build and evaluate an MVP and you try to find your product market fit. And then when you have this, then sort of you leave this whole seed phase and you go into Series A when you have the first traction. And then you try to grow really high or really strong. And then you go through all the ladders when you raise more money, pretty much. So I don't think that, I mean, we as a startup, we never really thought about when we left pre-seed and went into seed. Only when people ask us, like, which phase are you in? I don't really think that there's something to worry about necessarily. What I would say is maybe pre-seed is just anything to get you started. Maybe friends and family money is a good thing, or like grants. And then seed funding, if you want to do it for 1 year without having to think constantly about who's going to pay my next bill or rent. Yeah.
I think this is a question with several answers to it, because it depends on how you define it. If it's defined by money, how much money you have raised, and that's the stage, or exactly how far you are in your development. I completely agree. Don't care about these kind of things. That's like the least of your problems. If you start
what we could add in, it's about the type of money, I would say, what you mentioned, right? So for government, let's say governmental programs, this from my point of view, is a pre-seed.
Yeah, I agree.
Family, friends, and fools, right? And then when it really comes to to professional investors, let's say, also business angels is also one point of right. Is it already seed or is it pre-seed? It depends then on the size. But anyway, I would say, okay, from my point of view, the governmental stuff is more about the pre-seed, and then the private investors then comes to the seed phase. Yeah. Okay. Next.
Okay. We will have one other question. Here are now 6 startups and 4 jury members, and I think you saw a lot. If you think about the startups you saw in the last years, is there one thing many startups don't have? Like, is there something in common?
I think this answers the question directly, but what most startups forget most of the times is to validate the problem that they're trying to solve. Most of the startups, and that's just generally how humans work, we tend to find a solution without seeing if there's actually a problem for it. That's one thing why most startups start with a good idea and a good intention, but they have to pivot so many times, because after talking to potential customers, they see that there is no real fit or real market for it. So my first tip that I would give any potential startup founder is to really validate the problem. Is there a problem at all, or are you just making it up, or do you just have a solution for it?
Actually, will someone pay for it, right? Just asking now, how much would you spend? That's one question. But okay, take out your wallet and give me 100 euros, for that. That's a question that you have to ask. And right, and from my point of view, you have the personal interview is very important. The personal approach, networking again, right? And don't be shy. Again, spread the word and go out there. Just by doing a survey and just collecting quantitative data, I think it's not enough in that respect when it comes to customer validation, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I would maybe add that the advice from the impulse was really good to focus on a specific niche. And what I often see is that focus is just lacking, so that there is the solution requires a lot of moving parts, and it's very complicated, and everything needs to play together. And then the customer is pretty much everyone. And so this being laser focused on a small niche, that is often really key to success, to get traction in one specific customer segment.
Yeah, one more thing that you guys that are into startups don't have is a boring life. So get into it. And I want to ask you guys, what is it that you don't have? Well, time, sleep, and a boring life. That's what you don't have. Everything else you got, right?
Like one additional point that I have seen quite a bit in, like especially in my work, because somehow I ended up working as a startup coach for very early stage things at the university. And especially in the early stages, I have the feeling that many people don't even think about the whole business aspect of things. Not only whether people will actually buy it, but even if there is some kind of need and there is a market for a product, how do you even get it to the market, and how do you sell it in a clever way? Because normally people just think, oh yeah, I'm gonna produce the product, I'm gonna throw it on the market, people will buy it, that's it. But nowadays you have so many intricate ways of selling things. And to really figure this one out seems like one of the bigger challenges that people have.
Is there another advice? No? Okay, then thank you very much. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Twin. You have something to say?
I was thinking about if you could maybe turn the question around, right? Like not what are startups lacking, but maybe what's the number one valuable thing that you found yourself having in your startup so far? Because what I think for us is really great is, even though we had the advice, and this totally makes sense earlier from Adrian with the start with the Wizard of Oz mentality, just like try it, see if there's value, and then build afterwards. We probably build way too much stuff because we also like building. And it's nice, I guess, to have the qualities in a team or the skills to just iterate fast. And like what specifically this is really depends on the business, I guess. For us, it's like a combination of, well, talking to people, getting feedback, and then building this into code, and then like destroying the code again and starting new, which luckily enough, we didn't have to do that often, but just this iteration that we can have a new feature, like tomorrow test it, and then maybe in 2 days, we do something a little bit different and it works much better. This is what helped us a lot. Yeah.
That's a good sentence to end this networking session. Guys, thank you so much for the jury members and to you guys also, your startup representatives, and to everybody else. I don't know, where's the camera right now? Is it here? Okay. Thank you so much to the audience at home also. It was our first time for the Road to Start Summit. It was really, it was not easy for us, but I think we did it, and next time we will do it maybe a little bit better. So thank you that you was part of it and you made it just such a special evening, and see you guys.